Hey guys, Drifter here, welcome to Overwatch In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the ever so popular Tracer. This is one of my favorite characters. It was the first one that I ever played back at PAX when this game was in pre-alpha. She's on the box, and she sees a lot of use in both competitive and public play. Got a lot of stats to go over, got a lot of testing, and some very unique interactions, but let's just jump straight in with the damage numbers because I know that's what everybody's most interested in here. Tracer will deal between 6 and 1.5 damage per shot with her pulse pistols depending on your range, and since she can headshot, that means headshots will deal between 12 and 3 damage, and the maximum damage range on that 6 damage that is 11 meters, and it'll hit the 1.5 at approximately 30 meters, but I think that 11 meter range right there is the most important one because you want to be dealing max damage because 1.5 damage is pretty pitiful and it drops off relatively quickly, so staying close with people and aiming for the head is very beneficial, but that's true for almost every character. Her rate of fire is 2,400 rounds per minute. Now that's for both guns, and that is extremely fast. Not only is that the fastest in Overwatch that I'm aware of at this point, but that is an incredibly high rate of fire for just about any weapon in just about any game. They are ridiculously fast firing, and they only take 1 second to reload, so your overall downtime with pumping out damage with the pulse pistols is very, very low. So you're looking at an overall about 240 damage per second, which is extremely high for Overwatch. If you're in the right range and in the right scenario, Tracer can absolutely pump out damage that does not take into account her ultimate or headshots. It'll basically double if you're doing headshots. That's just with the regular pulse pistols. Very, very high damage character. We're going to be going a little bit out of order on abilities and talking about the ultimate next since it's a damage ability. The Pulse Bomb will deal 400 damage upon detonation and has a blast radius of approximately 3 meters. 3 meter blast radius isn't the biggest radius and it's not the smallest one. For comparison, Soldier 76's healing pod or biotic field is 5 meters, so it's going to be a little bit smaller than that, and it's not instant. She doesn't instantly fling out the Pulse Bomb, it has a 1 second cast time. On the upside, the Pulse Bomb is one of the fastest charging ultimates in the game, requiring only 900 points. So if you're Tracer and you're very busy, you can make a couple of strafes on people, you can shoot them, and you can charge it up incredibly quickly. A good Tracer will be able to use this somewhere between 5 and 10 to 15 times per game, just depending on how active you are. It's worth pointing out that her ultimate is treated as a projectile in-game, unlike hit scans like her pulse pistols, so you get a lot of unique interactions with other characters, which we're going to be going over right now. Genji can deflect your ultimate with his E ability and knock it right back, and you can kill yourself, which is very, very frustrating. D.Va's field that destroys things destroys your ultimate because it is a projectile, and Roadhog has so much health that you actually can't kill him with one stick of your ultimate. In order to kill Roadhog, what you need to do is shoot him a good bit and soften him up and then blow him up. Same kind of thing with Reinhardt as well. He takes a little bit of softening up before he dies. Your ultimate can one-hit kill Bastion, so the best thing to do is sneak in, stick him, zip out, and blow him up. And while we're on the topic of Bastion, just a pro tip for those of you out there that are having trouble with him, that bright blue spot on the back right there, that's his head hitbox when he's in turret form. Go ahead and target the back of Bastion and shoot him in that weird back head hitbox for bonus damage while you're flanking him for much more successful flanks. Okay, time to talk about Tracer's overall mobility. She has an overall very fast movement speed just as is. Her base movement speed is very good, but you cover the most ground with your blink ability, which can be activated by default with the shift key on PC, or you can right click or do an alternate fire on console, just kind of depending on how you configure your controls. But blink will teleport you approximately 7 meters in the direction that you're facing or the direction that you choose to blink, and each charge of your 3 charges takes 3 seconds to refill, so it'll take a total of 9 seconds to refill all 3 of your blink charges. Of note, you don't only have to blink forward. This is one of the things that separates the good Tracer players from the bad ones, and I might be one of the bad ones because it's a terrible habit to only blink forward, but you can blink backwards, side to side, left to right, forward, whatever direction. You can chain it, any sort of combo you want. You can blink in any direction. On console, you can even do it diagonally if you're moving that direction. So you can sometimes telegraph your moves if you're spinning with the mouse and only blinking forward. I've been practicing blinking backwards, but sometimes I throw myself over a cliff like an idiot. idiot. The blink ability will also allow you to transverse paths that you wouldn't normally be able to. There's two that I'm going to be showing off here on Hanamura and Volskaya. I could do an entire episode on tracer paths, but just keep in mind there are at least a dozen of these in every single map. Matter of fact, I might do an entire episode on that. Just there are a ton of blink paths, so just be aware of that. Take some time to look around the map, explore, check out some other YouTube videos, and you can flank people much, much better. This ability is awesome when used against Mei. Mei is one of your counters because she can freeze you and slow you down. However, in this instance, I'm working my absolute butt off to try and dodge the freeze ray and make it incredibly difficult for my wife, JWO Designs, to freeze me. And typically, whenever you use this ability to dodge as much as possible and chain it with your regular ability, it's much harder to freeze. If you just happen to get stuck in a Zarya ult, you can blink your way out if you have all three blinks. And on the topic of Zarya ults, if you get stuck in the Zarya ult, you can, of course, use your E ability to rewind time and get out of it. Speaking of your E ability, that one is called Recall, and Recall basically teleports you 3 seconds backwards in time. That's the best way to think about it, and I'm going to talk about the nuts and bolts and stats, of course, but just keep in your mind, it's just sending you backwards exactly 3 seconds in time. It's going to reset your exact position and your exact health where you were 3 seconds ago. Some people believe that it heals you by default, or it heals you every time. That's not true. Just however much health you had 3 seconds ago, that's how much you're going to get back, and you're going to be going back to the exact same location, no matter how far away it was. It will also reload your pistols on the way back, so you'll bounce back with full ammo, and it'll make you untargetable for 1.25 seconds. The untargetability is very nice. Sometimes it allows you to dodge other ultimates, or kind of stay out of trouble at your target destination. This is a very multi-purpose ability because it can be used to recover huge distances, such as the example right here, regain health, and can be used to flank and confuse your enemies. Also, if you fall off the map, might as well just take yourself right back on in case you get bumped off by anything. It's a very nice ability to save yourself. So those are all of Tracer's stats and some of her unique interactions. Let's talk about how she plays. Tracer is the flanker for Overwatch, and she is really awesome at flanking. Overwatch has several good flanking characters such as Genji or Pharah, but Tracer ultimately is the flanker. That is her job. She is Miss Flank City. That's all she's going to do is flank you over and over and over and over again, and she's great at that, but she's not very good at slugfest fighting. She has a very low health pool of only 150. The DPS is kind of low at anything but close range, and most of the other characters can one-hit her with several abilities, so you do not want to be face-checking people, you do not want to be up in their grill, and you do not want to make your presence known all the time. Tracer has a very high skill cap and is very high risk, high reward. Of course, lower skilled characters can play Tracer in low elo matches and confuse enemies just because they're not good at protecting her abilities. However, high skill players can also play her awesomely and just absolutely confuse the devil out of their enemies and use the high mobility to their advantage and become very, very difficult targets to hit. So to sum up the best Tracer playstyle, you should flank, and then for a little change of pace, flank some more. When it comes to who she counters and who counters her, Tracer is incredibly weak against McCree. McCree is a god tier counter against Tracer. McCree will kill Tracer in just about every sort of straight up fight. This is me playing McCree right here, and I'm a terrible McCree, but all you have to do is throw the stun grenade, and when Tracer's stunned, she doesn't have the health to withstand almost anything. If you ever need to kill an enemy Tracer, pick a McCree, and if the enemy team has a really awesome McCree and you're playing as Tracer, you should probably avoid that character. Overall, Tracer is weak against Winston, Symmetra, D.Va, and Mei. Winston has a lot of health, and he can throw down the bubble shield and kind of force Tracer to engage in this very short-range combat where he has the ability with the Tesla cannon to not even really aim at her, and he's got more health and he can wear her down faster than she can heal herself and faster than she can DPS him. He also has armor, which Tracer is very weak against, and if you're curious as to why Tracer is weak against armor, you should definitely check out the Overwatch in-depth episode on armor. Symmetra is surprisingly nasty against Tracer because once she gets her primary lock-on gun charged up, it kills Tracer almost immediately. D.Va is all armor for the most part, and Tracer just about can't hurt armor. She has a very difficult time cutting through armor. D.Va has a ton of it. D.Va's also got shotguns that are very good close range, a couple of different escapes, and can dissolve the ultimate, so D.Va's very difficult. And a good Mei can counter Tracer really hard by throwing up walls to disrupt her movement, slowing her down with the ultimate, and of course slowing her down with the freeze ray. The freeze ray is probably the big deal against Mei, and Mei isn't the hardest counter if you know how to dodge her, but she can be very, very annoying. Tracer is strong against, however, all healers, and this is one of the most important things and why she's awesome at flanking. There is not a single healer or support character in the game that can stand up to Tracer at the moment. We don't know how Ana's going to pan out. She will murder Mercy, she can kill Lucio, no problem. Zenyatta doesn't stand a chance, and Symmetra, yes, Symmetra can counter her, but the majority of people that play Symmetra, honest to God, do not know how to play that character. So most Symmetras will get murdered. Now, if you run into a good Symmetra that actually knows what she's doing, that's a counter, so she'll murder you. Symmetra's not really a traditional healer anyway. Tracer is one of the best characters in the game at killing Bastion because she can charge her ultimate up very, very quickly, zip in on Bastion, drop the bomb, and blow him up with no trouble. And unless he has extra armor from Torbjorn or Symmetra shields, it's going to kill him in one hit. And even if he does have those, you can just shoot him a little bit, then drop the bomb and kill him in one hit. I do think she's a very good counter to Hanzo, because with Hanzo you have to have a lot of skill to hit Tracer. Tracer moves very fast, and yes, it's true, Hanzo can one-hit headshot Tracer and just blow her out of the water if they've got skill, but most of the time you're able to flank them in the back and kill them, no issues. And same kind of thing with Torbjorn, most of the time you're able to get up on Torbjorn's turrets very, very quickly and hose them, zip out, recall, get your health back, come back in and kill him. Torbjorn himself can't do a whole lot against you, so he's very good at that, but she does struggle at cutting through the additional armor. Guys, that's all for this in-depth episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.